Yeah. What up? What up? What up? Welcome to another episode of Phil John's VIP. Thank you for joining me on a Saturday night as always. I appreciate you coming by. Two shows up, two shows, no, take that back. Two shows to go. So we're coming down toward the end of it. It's been a good ride. Season 3 so far has been wonderful. Thank you guys for coming in and tuning in every night. A lot of you guys, once again, you hit me on the playback coming through, and I'm super excited that you do, and I want to say thank you each and every week to come. I think I look a little younger tonight. I did a little something to my beard. I don't know, tried to take a little 10 years off. Hope it works. But tonight I have a very, very special guest. All my guests are special, but tonight I have a friend that I've been knowing now for decades. And, I think that she's one of the smartest women in the industry that I know, among a few. I call her my modern day B author, my modern day Maud, because of her level of consciousness. And she does everything with intent and with purpose. And once we get into conversation, you'll see what I mean. But her mind is far beyond her years. Her talent is just dead on. And I'm looking forward to having this conversation to introduce you to her so you know, I'm quite sure as years continue, you'll be seeing her name behind credits for years to come. And I truly do mean that because I think that she is brilliant. She is my woman crush Wednesday every day because of the beautiful mind that she has. So I'm going to present to you Melisa Breiner Sanders. Melisa, hit the request to join, and let's get this conversation started. Without a doubt, this girl's been around for a very, very long time, and she's a graduate of DeVal University School of Acting, and I mean, I can say a whole lot about more with her, but I'd rather her come in and have her tell you herself. All right. What up, Derek? Happy birthday. Happy belated birthday, Derek Stanford. Man, frat. Thank you. Thank you for always coming through, brother. Appreciate you. Here we go. Melisa. There we go. Here we go. And time to have a conversation. Phil John's VIP, season 3. Let's get it. All right. Melisa, where you at?
I'm here. That intro, Phil. Oh my gosh. I hope I can live up to it. My God.
You already have, my sister.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for having me on. Thank you for having me here. I'm excited about this. And this is the first time that I've ever done a live also. So
what? Listen. So you a virgin on my show.
I am popping cherries.
Listen, that speaks volumes because I know you're very, very careful and you move with intent. So I say thank you.
Well, and you know that I trust you implicitly in anything you do. So you asked me, I'm like, yep, let's do it. Let's go.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So I've told your accolades about things that you've accomplished and how I believe that you have such an incredible producer's mind as well as a talent of an actor. For me, I've always felt that you have been wise beyond your years. Just to sit down and have a conversation with you.
But Phil, the years are catching up. The years are catching up. They're.
Well, they're catching up, but look, you still got a lot of miles to go.
Yes, for sure. For sure.
So for me, I wanted to know where it all began for you. Because I know that you have such a long history with just the arts. So where did it begin? Where did the bug bite?
I have this weird memory from me being 3 years old and going to like a Renaissance fair or something like that. And they do the little dress up with the kids and they have a little thing and they go and they run here and they do a little task or whatever. And at that moment I was like, oh yeah, I want to act. That's it. And so from then on, it was me pursuing that. But along the way, being someone who is like very organized and very type A, I got into all the crew stuff too. And I got into production, like crew for theater and all that things. And I think my my growing up in the theater through high school, elementary school, and doing crew, when I started doing film after I graduated college, I just started talking to everybody who was a crew member because I wanted to understand what their job was, how it was different than what I understood or what I knew in theater. And I just started learning everybody's job. So then eventually, when I was working on my own things or people would cast me in something and I knew there could be improvements, I could jump in because I understood what everybody did and understood the organization of it. And so then it just, grew and grew and grew from that.
You've always had I've always known you to pay attention to detail. Exactly where did that ability come from?
Oh my God, probably from, the perfectionist mindset and like feeling this urge to need to be right. Like there can be a lot of things that you can have positive effects from things that might not always be like the best mentally, right? Um, but it served me well in a lot of ways, and now I'm just kind of learning how to mitigate that and to not feeling like everything has to be right. But yeah, I just am very observant, and I just somehow always am aware of everything that's happening around me.
And it's interesting. I think that a lot of people, like I've always said that it's very difficult for me to jump into the producer's hat because you got to make sure that everything is running smoothly. You know, as a woman in this business, what has been the challenges for you?
I mean, I think there's a lot of change that has happened, right? So definitely originally it was people not taking you seriously or, you know, um, wondering where like the real boss is or whatever. Like, okay, fine.
You can't be a real boss.
But yeah, like, okay, well, good luck with that assumption. But that's kind of always at the end of it. I'm just like, well, then you're ridiculous if that's kind of how you're thinking about it. Joke's on you. I will use that assumption then against them. And one example is the feature that I produced. I also did locations on, and I had never done it again before. And I don't ever want to do it again. That's probably the subconscious coming out that I never want to do locations again. It is a very difficult job. But I I'd never done it. I didn't know what to expect. And I tend to jump into the deep end with things and figure it out. And so I did with this, but like it came with a lot of mistakes. And routinely when we were shooting in apartments, people the landlords would all of a sudden find out about us. And because I had done with the tenants directly, which you're not supposed to do. For anybody who is doing that, you gotta arrange it with the landlords, the owners. And they got very angry, but then I played like the like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm good, and start crying and, switch it around, whatever works to get the job done. But now there are so many more people that are doing film of all genders, it's not as unusual. People aren't, I've worked for shows, that are network that have a producer and UPM female team and a, very strong female lead team. It's not something unusual anymore.
What do you think the challenge is as far as fair is concerned? Because I know that the narrative with people I know who still work in production, that it's still kind of a push to have like, I don't know, you worked as a UPM at one point, just try to get women in that role.
I think it's always the hardest to get the first credit, right? So people don't want to hire you for leadership positions until they know that you've done the job before. So getting that first foot in the door, and generally those first things are whether you're doing it yourself or it's through connections, it's through networking, right? Because people always like to work with who they already know and who they're comfortable with. It's high stress situations and you're putting together things fast or there's a lot of money on the line. And so you want a sure thing. Now, if people are only working within their network, that's going to be harder if you're not already in their network. And who's in their network? People like them, right? So um, yeah, it is just getting in there. But there's an organization, it's now called PANO, but it was originally called NYC Women Filmmakers, which I think has been really helpful in getting, you know, community support and getting women filmmakers in leadership positions. It's also for women and non-binary people as well, to get into positions in film that they haven't been able to before. So yeah, it's just that start.
I get it now. You know, when people say, you know, it's not who you know, but it's who knows you,
Yeah.
right? So it's kind of a thing where people want to work with people who, number one, they trust,
Yeah.
people who they can stand to be around for 15 hours on a set.
Right.
And you know, your group of people who you want to definitely know, you if you know their talent and you want to put them on to get the credit, you know what I mean, that you feel like they deserve. So I understand that more now than anything else. And I think that we all move in kind of like a, and I've said this before, like in a class, you know how you get promoted, you come in with your class and you kind of get promoted with your class
Yeah.
and you grow with your class, and those are the people that you're going to be with throughout your career in your industry. So although it may seem foreign, or no, I take it back, although it may seem like, you know, people are blocking people out, it's not really the case. It's just that you're not a part of that class. these,
Yeah.
these
It's
people have
not as intentional. I think with
exactly.
all things, it's like people aren't thinking about you that much. Like it's
Right,
not personal,
right,
whether good or bad. Like it's just, they're not thinking of you and they're just going about their lives. Yeah. It's hard to remember because, of course, we are always thinking about ourselves. We're the main character of our own lives, right?
right, right, right.
So, yeah. Yeah. It's hard to remember that.
As an actress, have you ever felt that I mean, we all feel that the industry is like really tough as far as, you know,
Yeah.
booking the job, dealing with agents, dealing with managers. As you as an actress, at what point do you still kind of um, find the love for what it is that we do, separate from the whole rigmarole of the business?
I think it's interesting because it doesn't, you don't really separate the two in a way, if that makes sense. Like the business part doesn't bother me. Like it can be frustrating, but to me, the two things are so separate. And maybe it is my producer brain that doesn't let me take it personally. I think that's the biggest thing, right? I've been behind the table on the other side of the table, you know, watching casting sessions, making decisions like that, doing schedules, bringing collaborators in, and so I understand that piece of it, that you can watch somebody and what they do and watch their audition and love what they do so much, but no, they're not right for the project.
Right, right.
So for me, knowing that not just as like an idea that someone has told me, but actually having seen it in the room happen lets me let go of so much of that. And I just, as a practice, I do an audition and I let it go and I forget about it. If it comes back, great. Then we get to do that thing. But that letting it go, and I hope this comes across in the same way, of just like not taking it so seriously. Right? Like, yes, of course, it's our passion. We want to be successful. We want to book every role, but like, also fuck it. You
Yeah,
know, it's
yeah,
not life or death.
yeah,
We're not saving someone's life by getting this co-star.
yeah.
Um, so just even in the business part of it, having fun and connecting with people
Right.
as humans.
I think
And
it
then,
takes a long time to get to that part though, because
yes.
people come in like it's a sprint, and they
Yep.
start making these like unrealistic goals that may never happen. Right? Not to say it won't happen, but it's not going to happen in the time frame which you think that it's going to
Right.
happen. And the biggest aha for me was learning how to live in the business, just live in it. You know,
Yeah.
not really try to say, you know, I'm going to be this or I have to have. Some people come in like, I want to book 5 co-stars by the end of the year, and it's like,
Well, it's fine. I think it's a good goal. Set the
Yeah.
goal.
Yeah.
Figure out what steps you got to do to get there, but also know that it could or could not happen. Or something totally different could happen.
Truly.
A global pandemic could happen. No control over. So, okay, just go ahead and live life then. Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to see happen as far as developing shows? Is there anything that you want to develop and see come to life if you could?
You mean that I would want to develop or that I would
That
want
you
to?
would want to develop as a producer that you would like to see come to life? More of something or any one particular thing that you've been saying, man, if I had the backing and the green light to do this, I would do it.
So honestly, I don't have anything in my head right now because I have been, I mean, perfectly honest, so overwhelmed with like personal family life stuff that it's taken all of my energy and I haven't had a whole lot of producing and creating and developing and coming up with ideas. Like writers know this, like nobody's business, but creating something out of nothing, it's so much energy. And I think there's a certain level of freedom that you need to do that too. And yeah, I just haven't had the energy to let my brain go in that direction recently. And um, have one, it is my more of my passion, and I do find it like a little bit easier to just focus on acting, right? Because someone else creates all the support for you, and then you get to go in and play.
Right, right.
And so right now, that is where my brain is, and that is where my heart is, of just finding more ways to play, both in the business and also just in real life, of just being finding joy, finding fun,
Yeah.
because it's been a roll long 2 years, and I've had enough.
I think that a lot of times when people kind of don't always acknowledge is that the real life stuff kind of ties into what we do creatively. It's the fuel
Yeah.
that helps us to create and put the experiences and the feelings down on paper.
You
You know,
know, and
and in audition rooms too.
yeah. And this is the thing that I was thinking about. I was thinking about today, and like in talking with you, of just how much like it is your life feeds in to your creative pursuits. And I'm thinking about, especially with acting, of just you take all of these experiences, and I feel like most actors I know have almost like a dual brain a lot of times when they're going through things in life. It's like you're experiencing it, you're in it, you're present, but you also have this other part of your brain that's kind of like logging, like, oh, I'm feeling this way about this, that, and the other. Okay, I understand what's happening here, and this is this, and it's making me feel this way, or I feel it in my body, this, so that you can use it later.
Yeah,
You just gather everything, and that's one, I guess, going through hard things. One upside in that way is like, well, I know where I know where I'm gonna be able to put it. I know where I can use it.
absolutely. Absolutely. Do you ever get afraid?
Oh yeah, I mean, yes, with the business. I mean, like, yeah. Um, I mean, I'm sure afraid feels to me like a little bit like a horror movie, so I think I'm getting a
Right,
little stuck
right.
on the vocab. But fear, I mean, everybody, you get fearful of like, I'm running out of time, I'm never gonna make it, people don't like me, maybe I really suck, all of those fears come in. The thing that I think I've become the most success, where I found more success recently in the last year, is of not trying to change those fears, of not trying to get rid of them or ever have the expectation, but just know that, oh, those are the things that I always fear. So when they come up, I can be like, oh, that's not real. Okay, got it. It's not real. So I don't have to react to it. I don't have to make decisions based on it. It's just that's the way my brain works and that's what I'm feeling. And okay. And now we can counteract that with another, like, okay, well, let's find what's the truth of the situation.
Right.
Great. And now we can do something more productive or do something that's, yeah, more
Because it's
helpful.
all in our brains. It's all here. Like nothing is really happening. But I think that once the brain goes into survival mode, we're like, we got to do something because we all of a sudden fear kind of creeps in,
Yeah.
and we have to like we're trying to hit the brakes.
Well, we can go even real deep and know that, like, honestly, nothing is really happening in the world.
Yeah.
The only way that we understand the world is through the interpretation of our senses. So it really is all in our heads. We have no idea if anything is actually happening or what anybody else's experience is because it's all however it's processing through our senses.
I believe that.
So nothing's real.
Wait a minute. That's a little bit of the not the secret. What's my book? Um, Course of Miracles.
Is it?
Yeah.
I haven't read it,
Not
but
you haven't read the Course of Miracles yet?
I haven't. I haven't.
Nothing exists.
Yeah.
Right? Nothing's happening. Nothing exists. Everything is just kind of like what we create in our heads, in our minds. A lot of times our anxiety comes from what we think is going to happen, but nothing has happened yet.
Oh, yeah. No, anxiety is all
Yeah.
future, all about the future, and we don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. It doesn't mean like knowing those things, like that those things don't happen still. Like we're still human.
Right. Right.
Um, and you can have all the knowledge in the world, but you still come up against something that, affects you, and you still might go into a spiral. And then after the spiral, you're like, oh, well, that happened again. Okay. Do we know why? Can we figure that out and see if we can, become more aware, and maybe it won't happen as severe the next time. Or maybe while we're going through the spiral, we're like, huh, spiraling. Great. Okay. Now what?
You become aware of it, you
Yeah.
know, and sometimes you got to have conversations with yourself, like everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be good. Weed is now legal in Jersey, so for those who indulge, that
Mm-hmm.
to help a lot.
And I mean, you live in Jersey, so have you visited one of the dispensaries yet?
Mm.
Very good. Very good. Unfortunately, it's still illegal to
I know.
cross state lines.
I
So
know. You see, I had to say that. I was like, oh, I'm live.
I'm
Yeah,
just saying. I I know that it's very important to put that out there just to make sure everyone knows you can't cross state lines with it. It's very
exactly.
exciting.
Like, don't take the PATH train over to New
Don't do
York.
it. Because I'm almost thinking they're gonna start putting drug dogs on the path, and like
I'm telling you, yeah, especially the PATH train. Yeah.
they're gonna be looking for it. They're gonna be looking for it at the beginning to
For
catch the
anybody to
people.
just slip up one time and
Yeah,
it's a wrap.
yeah,
So, DePaul University, right?
yes, sir. Yeah.
What was the process of going through the graduate program there? And what did you take away from?
Oof. Um. So I went back to grad school after 10 years of being out. So I really liked that because I already knew the business of the entertainment industry and understood what it took to be in the business and know that I wanted to continue with it. The thing that concerns me sometimes with people going into grad school straight after undergrad is that they only know the craft part of it. They only know the expression part.
Yeah.
And they don't know what it takes to be in the business and what the business is about, and is if that's something that they really want to be a part of, right? And so it's just that becomes so difficult sometimes, right? So I really am concerned about people that commit that much money, time, and really go far down that path in life without knowing what they're committing to. So
Yeah.
it was definitely difficult to kind of like step out of my life to go to grad school at
Yeah.
that time. Um, but I'm so glad that I did it because I also knew I wanted to be in it, and I knew what I wanted out of grad school and why I was going, and like why I was spending the money. Um, it was a 3-year program. We started with 10, ended with 9 because one person had dropped out, right? I don't even know where to begin talking about what I learned because it's such a full process, right? There's before that I had always acted on instinct. I didn't go through any kind of programs. I cobbled together different pieces, right? So it's a very different process when you have 3 years out of your life that you're just devoted to that. You can fully delve into um, a concept or a way of acting, and you can really see how it jives with you without doing it piecemeal or also having like this day job on the side and all these other things, right? You have teachers that are following your progress through these years. So the feedback they give you is more complete to who you are. There's also really difficult situations that you go through in it while having the mentorship of the teachers that are there that can put it in context of how you can use it professionally. Mm-hmm. Right? So it was really, really hard 3 years. But I feel like at the end, I have both the confidence to know that like whatever you throw at me, like I can do, I can handle, I can make it work. And I have a toolbox of things that I can use for each situation, each role that comes up. And I have people that I can always reach out to, other actors, teachers, the rest of my cohort, all those things. So, yeah.
I think that a lot of times there have been people that I've met that have come out of, either conservatories or BA programs or MFA programs. And I think there's a mindset that, I come out of school and it's like, here I am, I should be, and then you got people who are like, no, 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 you're going to sign in the same sign-in sheet that I sign in, and I didn't go through that intense program. I oftentimes wonder, because when I look at who's actually working and who's not, I'm seeing people some people didn't study at all.
Right.
They take one class with someone who they think has been on television long enough to kind of like qualify as a class or studying. And there are those who go through intense conservatories and graduate programs. And it's like, I feel like there's a imbalance in what the expectation when you get out.
Yeah.
There's like, I've done all the work, now here I am. And then there's this crazy thing called show business that I think people don't understand are just two entirely separate entities. And the rules are completely separate.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's going through a conservatory program. They're large programs that are really trying to update, but they're slow to update. It's academia in general is like that. So there's a lot of stuff. Almost all conservatory programs for acting are theater based, right? So I think especially for that, like you're not going to see people being able to, I don't know, helm a Shakespeare on a Broadway stage without that kind of training.
Yeah.
Right. So there's that level that we're thinking about. But for film and TV, it's so subjective and everybody needs something different. So you can't say this person did this, that, and the other and are good to go. And this person did this. And so that's the path. Like every single person has to figure it out for themselves. I think when you've been through it, as long as both of us have, I mean, I definitely have the opinion of just like, man, I don't know what's going to happen. I can't begin to predict what's going to happen with this person or that person's career based on my opinion of them. You never know. You never know.
It's anybody's game. And
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but what I was going to say too is that the conservatories, they don't teach the business part of it, right? And that's part of the model of education being about being more thought of as like, I'm paying for this and therefore I have an expectation of what I'm going to get out of that, right? And what job I'm going to get out of it. So that's a change. And I think with that, now students are demanding to have more business-minded classes along with a conservatory training to be able to understand what they need to do on the other side, right? When they get in the business.
Right.
Because there's a lot of people that are resentful that they don't like, why didn't I learn this? Why didn't I learn how to get an agent? Why didn't I learn how to, how equity works and what I have to do for a sign-in process, like these basics. But academia is slow. So they'll get there maybe eventually, but it's just.
Because I remember the equity bench for non-equity actors. That one
Do you
wooden bench.
remember? Oh my God, yeah, but even in the news space, they had this little gated off room, right? And then like off to the side, right before the gates, they had this like mini hallway with these benches, and I always felt horrible looking in. I was like, good God, what are we doing? Terrible.
Like, that's when you look back and you say, wait, I have paid my dues.
Yes.
I have paid my dues. They wouldn't even let me use the bathroom.
I know.
It
I
was
know.
bad. They were like going upstairs to McDonald's. Like, it was bad, man. You know?
And equity wonders why they're at where they're at, right? You pissed a lot of people off, right?
Yeah, truly, man.
Yeah.
But I'm so grateful for those days.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for the times that we had where we were kind of just forced to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a little different now. I think that we can kind of relax a little bit.
Yeah. It's just.
And kind of settle and know that it's going to happen when it happens and that we're not in control
Yeah.
over everything. Like, it's like I said, you kind of living in it now, just kind of settled.
Well, I'm also thinking about, I mean, how far we've come and how much the pandemic has really like sped it up of,
Yeah.
It used to be everybody had to go to New York because you had to get a backstage like print subscription, right? And when it came out on Thursdays, you had to scour so that you were prepared to know who you're submitting to. You're submitting paper headshots and resumes, whether you're dropping it off or mailing it or right. And if you get directions, you have to, I was writing it down on Post-it notes. Otherwise I wouldn't know where I was going, right? So we had all of that and very localized, very much you had to be here, to now where people are all over the country, all over the world.
Yeah.
In the same competition and being able to be within the business in that way.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's really, it's incredible, which is why we see the increase in just the numbers of people doing it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which, I don't know. I think it's great too, because it's more people becoming involved.
But I think what I miss more is that the camaraderie and the community.
Yeah.
And now we've talked about this too, is that I miss that feeling of I belong somewhere.
Yeah.
Now I feel like we're kind of most of us are going on tape for a lot of stuff, so it's not like running into each other at auditions, or even if we're not going in for the same thing. You may be auditioning for something maybe in another room and I'm happy to be there. We cross paths, like, let's hang out. What are you doing? How was it? And that I feel like we don't have anymore. And it's unfortunate because those who are just getting into it now, they'll never have that experience.
Yeah. It's such a different world for them too. I think it's also a different world. I mean, going back to, the people who don't have training, but still get into film and TV and are successful within that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think for this younger generation, they've just grown up in front of cameras. Right? So that comfort level is there.
Yeah.
That's not a hurdle they have to get over to
Yeah.
be themselves in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Or to understand angles or any of it, right? That's not a thing they have to learn. So yeah, it's so, I think that's also why you have to be so careful about trying to use somebody else's life as a template, right, of how you're going to be successful. Like there might be some good ideas, but especially now the world changes so quickly. That path that they went on, unless you're looking at broad strokes, is not going to be a path that might be available to you.
Truly.
We used to get the breakdowns. I'm still resentful about that. I mean, that might have been illegal at the time, whatever, who
It
cares? But
was.
everybody got them.
They used to be breakdown hustlers. People like, listen, I got the breakdowns. You got $20. I'll give you the breakdown.
Yeah. And I loved it. And I'm happy to give you my $20. Absolutely.
And I'm going to confess something now that I've never confessed probably on the live.
Ooh, ooh.
Back then, there were times, and some people who I'm still connected to on social media know that there were times we used to crash auditions.
Oh, yeah.
There was. I shouldn't even. I'm not even going to name drop. Nope, not going to name drop. I will say this: there was a casting office, and I was at the network at the time, and I had got wind that they were holding auditions for this film. I was like, wait a minute, I fit the type. Why am I not getting this audition? So the first day of the auditions, I look at the sign-in sheet, and I'm like, well, I know everybody on this sign-in sheet but me. So one day I came in, I wasn't working that day. Came in and I slipped my headshot underneath the I think it might have been Studio 4. And the lady
Wait. You slipped it under the door while they were in there?
right, I slipped.
Okay.
And I said, they were like, oh. I said, oh, you know what? I said, man, my agent totally forgot. I was a miscommunication. I didn't know. And she said, okay, we'll look at it and we'll get back to you. And I was like, God, I hope I don't get in trouble for this one. But if they kind of slip up and say, bring him in anyway, that would be sweet.
And what happened?
Not the name of, they didn't call me back. They didn't call me. But I tried my best.
That's the thing, though. I think that's what's so funny is like, you know, Actors Access, of course, has the hold on it because they're the money makers, right? It never seemed to me that casting cared. And definitely when you would talk to them, like, I never saw anybody that casting cared if you self-submitted or figured out, you know, you're making this project, I know the breakdowns, I'm good for this, and self-submitted because, I mean, you're just helping them out. You're just giving them more options. I'm like, great.
Especially if they know you already.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, you know, but I think I got an assistant or something that day, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't who I knew or who I saw that knew me, you know, then it would have been smooth sailing.
I wonder if they're like watermarking the breakdowns now so that you can't.
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised.
Because otherwise, I don't know why it's so shut down.
There are people probably who are just entering the industry who have no idea what breakdowns are.
Well, you know, you do, because you're in Actors Access, but you don't see it in the same format, yeah, as we used to when we would get like the full list, the full like 50-page PDF that you're scrolling through.
Yeah. Yeah, those are fun. So listen, now I got to ask you my 5 questions who I ask everyone that comes to the show. So I want you to take your time and answer it however you choose to answer it, okay?
Okay.
So tell me this. What do you know now about the industry opposed to what you thought it was when you first entered?
It's not a competition. You know, I really thought that it was a competition. And I don't feel like I'm in competition with people anymore. Because if I'm right for it, I'm right for it. If I'm not, I'm not. That's it. There's nothing that I can do to make it happen. You know, I can be prepared as I can be. I can be present. I can be available. I can, you know, handle my business appropriately. But it's not a competition.
Truly. I think that's one of the biggest hurdles you got to get over once you realize that it may be a competition with yourself, within yourself, but
sure, and like a healthy competition to be better. But what if someone, I really wish I could remember who said this to me, but that might not be originally even there, but you know that whatever's meant for you won't pass you by.
Absolutely. Whatever's meant for you will never pass you by. So there's no reason to stop enjoying life just because you're in the entertainment business.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, or not take vacations or not like go to weddings because you want to be available for a
Yeah.
job,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
You
And
gotta
that
live
happens more,
life.
then I believe that it should.
Yeah.
What advice would you give your 19-year-old self?
Just that you're gonna be okay. It's so hard because there are things that I would want to be easier for her to figure out or know. But at the same time, I learned so much by fucking up so much. Right? Like there's a coach that I work with who want helps people find like agents and also in the coaching business. But one of the things he talks about is like you can't be so put together all the time and perfect on the outside and get everything right because you don't leave the opportunity then for anybody to help you. You know, if you're looking for representation, you need to give them an opening to do their job. If you're already great on your own, what's their role? What is left for them to do? Right? So I think that, yeah, it would be nice to worry less if she could worry less. But at the same time, if I worried less, maybe I wouldn't have learned that lesson.
Truly. Definitely. Leave nothing to regret. Right?
Yeah,
Everything
I
that we
think,
go through is for our own development.
yeah. I think the only thing that I would ever regret is just if I wasn't as kind as possible to other people. And we're always, you know, that's human nature, saying the wrong thing, hurting someone's feelings, being angry or aggressive or blunt or whatever, right? And it hurts somebody or you do something. Certainly do regret those things, but regret and accepting that that's what happened and, you know, you make your peace with it, make your peace with them, and then forgive yourself.
I really wish we could all kind of really continue to support each other on this journey. You know,
Yeah.
the things that I really, really um, would hope that we're able to do as we move forward.
Yeah. Well, we can, and we can model it for other people,
Yeah.
right? Because I think that people, if you believe the hype from the outside world that tells us what this is supposed to be, then yeah, that's not the system that you think you're getting into.
Right.
But you see other people doing it, then you're like, oh, that's possible. All right, cool. Let's
What do
try
you want
that.
your legacy to be? What would you like your legacy to be?
I don't know. Yeah, I really don't know. Or have it's so funny because anytime I try to think of anything, it's just like, I won't be there. Mm. When I'm
What would
gone,
you
I'm
want?
gone.
Because it's so funny because we've had this conversation before, even about like, you know, um, life after death. And I remember you telling me one time, you was like, "When that's it, that's it. Like, I don't think about it." You know.
I can't do anything about it.
Let me rephrase the question then.
Okay.
What if? What would you want to be out of all the work you've done and everything that you've accomplished and all the seeds that you planted? What would you want people to remember you by? What is it that you want to live on when you're no longer in this form of being a human being?
I think learning compassion and acceptance and empathy. And maybe through my work, if people learned other people's stories and understood people more, um, those kinds of things. You know, I think all the other of it just it feels superfluous. It feels unimportant. But if people can understand other people or be more accepting or loving of other people through what I've done, then that's great. That would be wonderful.
What brings you joy?
Being with people, which is why the pandemic sucked. But I really like being with people and connecting with people. It's like I love experiencing things with others and sharing with others. That's really so much. Yeah, it just makes me happy. Trying new things. I'm remembering those things. Um, of like, oh right, when you try things that aren't things that you're good at, or like learning hobbies. I'm going back to rudimentary of like remembering how to be a person after the pandemic of like, right, do hobbies, have fun. So yeah, being with people, doing new things, eating good food, living in the moment, and just learning how to be joyful again and how to allow joy to exist. I saw, I'm just accepting that I'm becoming a person that learns things from TikTok. So I learned this from the TikTok of of this person said like train yourself to say like I'm having a good time, both for the benefit of others and for the benefit of yourself. When you recognize it, say it out loud so
Yeah,
that you can start to clock like I'm having a good time.
yeah,
I'm having a good time. Phil, I'm having a good time right now.
yeah, yeah. I'm having a good time too.
Great.
Thank you, thank you. I,
It's
what are
great.
you grateful for?
So many things. I think I'm just grateful for just being here. You know, we get to have this adventure of however many years we're on this earth. I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for yeah, just being here. I'm grateful for being here with you too.
Thank
I
you.
really love this. I always love talking with you. We could go for another 2 hours.
I know we I know we could. They don't even understand. We can go for it, but
We like plan to have coffee, and all of a sudden it's like, I don't. Should we get dinner?
right,
Because
right, because it's like it's late. You know, the time is going on. Time is going
mm-hmm.
on, and IG will cut me off if I
All
talk.
right, fine. Look,
But I think that we all should always walk into a place of gratitude, even when it doesn't feel good.
yeah.
You know, and we've talked about this before, but I have been following Pastor Stephen Furtick, who is the pastor of Elevation Church in North Carolina. And he preached on the book of Ruth, and he talked about how Ruth would glean after it was during the barley harvest, and how gleaning is actually like once the machine would go through, gleaning would be whatever was left over, and you would go back into the field and you would just take, so Ruth was really just happy for whatever she got because of her gleaning, right? And that hit me so much because it's like i I kind of like compared it to going out for roles that aren't that huge, like one liners, two liners. Even if sometimes you get like a whole scene, and then you book the job, and by the third rewrite, like the whole scene, like two lines, and you get pissed off and you get mad about it. But what I took from what he was talking about was that Ruth was happy to glean, just whatever fell after the machine went through. She would just grab whatever was left on the ground. So what it did for me was I just want to be grateful for being able to glean. So
Yeah.
whatever I gather is mine, and I want to be grateful for that. And if bigger stuff come, it comes, but for whatever comes, whatever I've been granted, um, I'm going to be grateful for that. And
Yeah. I feel like it's also easier to sit in the gratitude of whatever comes when you're secure in the knowledge that you will be okay and that it's all serving a purpose.
yeah,
And I don't think that I I think you can train yourself even if you don't necessarily think that's true. I think you can train yourself to believe it
yeah,
in order for it to be helpful to you to move your way through the world.
yeah,
I'm more interested in things that are helpful than it being like scientifically proven when it comes to these kinds of mindset things, right? Of it being, whether it's absolute truth or not, it helps me.
yeah, yeah. Because as long as it resonates with you, that's all that matters, right?
Yeah. And helps me be present and helps me just be kinder to myself and others. Great. That's all we need.
What's coming up next for you? What you got going on next that you want to share with
I don't know yet.
us?
Something. I really do
Well,
feel like there's something that's on its way. I just don't know what it is yet.
that's
Um,
that's a good feeling to have, though.
yeah. I
Like
mean, it's a waiting game of like, okay, okay, it could come now. I'm all right with it now.
the beauty is that it can exceed your expectations.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So I mean, I feel like I just have to wrap up some personal stuff, and then there's this summer. I mean, I'm also just excited for this summer and seeing people and being with
yeah,
people and
yeah. I'm New
activities.
Jersey. Let's go to Smorgasbord.
Okay, I don't even know
Right.
what that is, but I'm down. Let's
Yeah, yeah,
go. I
yeah,
got a
yeah, yeah,
car.
yeah,
I'll see you over
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. No doubt. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Melisa. You are my I would I call you my woman crush Wednesday every day, my modern day Maud,
I love it. Call
my
me B author
my
anytime.
my my
Ugh.
because I'm always I stand in awe of you, and I'm always just a fan of what you are capable. I see your capabilities, and I've always have, and I truly believe that the best is still yet to come. And I'm going to be excited to see when it does happen. To tell you, I
I
knew it.
told you so. I love it. Thank you so much, Phil. That's so kind of you.
No
That's so
problem.
kind.
So I'll see you this summer. We'll work it out.
Yes. Yes. What's
And
next for you? Can you share with what's going on with you?
coming on with me. Well,
Yeah.
I got two more shows of Phil John's VIP that got to
Nice.
get done. I have a lot of stuff. My thing during the summer is to really focus on my everything that I have written and
Nice.
continuing to develop that and to continue to transfer everything that I have written into pitch Bibles. So
Yes.
that's my first one that I'm pretty proud of. I'm going to continue on doing more of that,
Great.
allowing people to kind of peek in and see what happens, because I think that is because I could write forever, but to actually put the pitch Bible together, it kind of makes sense because, I can let that go. You give me money and I could go write something else.
Yeah, sell that, go write the next thing. Yep.
you know,
Absolutely.
so I'm gonna try to get as many of those, like compile like a few of those so I can
Good.
pass them out like pamphlets
Yeah,
and
that
see,
sounds really great. That's
what,
exciting.
yeah. And I'm looking to create, I'm looking to work, I'm looking at, but for me, like we said before, it's just taking I'm taking a different approach where I'm enjoying life and not really putting too much stock in it. I'm happy, and that's why I decided to do Phil John's VIP, because there's so many of you guys who are doing so many good things, and rather than me sit back and complain about what's not happening in my, which is so dumb, I want to celebrate people and I want to be genuine in my doing that. You know, so for me, it's not about the followers or anything like that, but it's about me having an opportunity to say thank you to those publicly and let you know how important you are to me in my life and how much you've encouraged me in my life by watching you live yours.
You're incredible, Phil. You're just so kind and so supportive, and you're a Leo. That's for sure. I'll tell you that much.
Like we bark a lot, but we really mushy inside, right?
Yeah,
Shout out to my brother
absolutely.
Rob King. Rob King, wherever you at, you are doing it, brother. I'm so proud of you. Season 4, Rob King, you are coming on the Bill Johns VIP.
He
That
better.
yeah, he
You
got
have no.
got to
Oh,
reach out
you
to him.
need to connect with him soon and see. He's got some
Yeah.
things cooking. Only a matter of time.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure he's definitely a force to be reckoned with. So I got to make sure I reach out to
You
your
Leos.
brother
Yeah.
Rob King. All right,
All
Melisa,
right. I love you.
love you
Thank
too.
you.
We'll talk soon. God bless.
Yes.